OMGs, boys, girls, in betweeners, Red Gammon here, back with a video talking about the ways I think Capcom should buff Juri in Season 3, which is actually not that too far away. See, Juri is the waifu that we all know and love. However, unfortunately in Street Fighter V, she was a terrible character right out of the gates when she was launched. While she did, in Season 2, manage to improve from being downright awful to a solid character, being good in a game where everyone else is great just doesn't cut it. And the fact that she received no buffs in the 2.5 patch has really done nothing to improve her status as a character who is universally regarded as the absolute worst in the game, hands down right now. As someone who has mained Juri since day one, here are the top 5 changes that I personally feel Capcom should make in Season 3 to allow the Korean sadist to finally achieve the status that she truly deserves. Number 5. Make fireballs a threat. The problem with Juri's fireball game is the story mechanic. For a resource that you actively have to build throughout the match, you'd think that they would offer her some kind of tangible benefit. Instead, all that storing fireballs allows her to do is to extend her combos for a very minor damage reward. There's really no intimidation factor or reason your opponent has to prevent you from building stores, because they know that even if you connect with a store, the difference in damage to a regular combo is going to be pretty minor at best. Now, as a comparison, when Hakan was oiled up in Ultra Street Fighter 4, he was considered to be one of the best characters in the game. And while I'm not saying that our fireballs need that big of a buff, something definitely needs to be done to make the reward equal to the effort and risk in storing them. Number 4. Rework the Fung Shui engine. Part of the reason Juri is considered the worst character of the game is her V-trigger. The reason Fung Shui engine was a devastating tool in Street Fighter 4 was that Juri had an overhead mix-up that she could use during block strings. Not only has that overhead been removed in Street Fighter V, but her Fung Shui engine drains with every single link that you use, meaning that its utility outside of free fireballs is almost zero, due to how damage scaling works. Give Juri back her overhead. Everyone's been asking for it. Everyone wants it. It's going to make the Feng Shui engine a real threat again. So give it back and either scale back or remove the V-trigger decay on each consecutive link. And last but not least, drop the V-gauge from 3 bars to 2. Juri's V-trigger is nowhere near good enough as it is to warrant 3 bars. Number 3. Crush counters that don't suck. Crush counters are a huge part of the Street Fighter V footsies and punish game. Many characters have access to crush counters that they can throw out in footsies, which if they connect, allow for significant follow-up combos and damage. Juri has 2 buttons that crush counter, and unfortunately for her, they're both terrible. Standing heavy kick has a 14 frame startup and is -7 if the opponent blocks while standing. Crouching heavy punch is a more reasonable 10 frame startup, but it's -9 if they're standing and has no forward hitbox to speak of and is just as worthless as an anti-air. Now, neither of these moves would be so bad if they cause crumple state, but they don't. They cause stagger state, meaning that unless done at point blank range, which is otherwise known as suicide, her follow-ups are limited to dash up, jab confirm combos. If her crush counters are going to have such terrible frame data, she should have the reward of solid follow-up options if they connect. Number 2. Improve her V-skill. In Season 1, Juri's V-skill was almost worthless. While it was designed as an anti-fireball tool, its long charge time and lack of startup invincibility removed almost any utility it had. In Season 2, her V-skill was greatly improved, but it's still not enough. The reason being that it's just a move that's designed solely to punish projectiles and nothing else. Throwing one out randomly carries a huge risk with it, as it's massively unsafe on block in both its charged and uncharged states. Even when it's used to punish projectiles, certain characters, most notably Guile and Minot, can't be punished from certain distances as their recovery is too fast. Now, you might say that being massively unsafe is just the price you pay for a move that punishes fireballs and traverses the whole screen in an instant. My counter-argument to that is Cammy. While it doesn't cover the whole screen, Spin Knuckle punishes fireballs, crosses up the opponent, is plus on block, and has solid follow-up options on hit. It does almost everything that Juri's V-skill does better, with none of the limitations that Juri has to endure when she uses it. And the #1 way to buff Juri in Season 3 is make her less honest. For a character who's all about being a sadist who delights in tormenting and torturing her foes, Juri is a shockingly honest character in almost every regard of how she plays. Her frame traps are extremely limited. She has only 4 normals that are positive on block, 3 of which are lights. The 4th, staying medium punch, has so much pushback it can't be used as a pressure tool. All her specials are -2 on block at best. Her overhead is -6 on block and 0 on hit. Her super is a projectile that can be beaten by a staggeringly high number of options. Her hit confirms almost exclusively start with lights unless you're prepared to spend a fireball charge. And cancelling off her best poke, which is standing medium kick, is limited to the first hit, which has an excruciatingly small window. I can go on, but in short, for a character who has to go in to get her damage, Juri has to work extremely hard once she actually gets there. As recently as the time of recording this, Xian himself was quoted on Twitter as saying that Juri is just too honest of a character in my opinion. Have all options to win, but super hard versus top 5 characters. If that's not proof enough, I don't know what is. So please, Capcom, just give her a few dirty mix-ups, a few extra tricks, some tools, something to make this goddess of pain and sadism live up to her potential. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for me. If you have any further suggestions on how Juri could be improved, please feel free to leave a comment below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and in the meantime, kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I will see all of you very soon.